Dawn of Defiance is an open-world survival crafting RPG in early access. If that combination of words doesn't raise red flags, you haven't been gaming for the past decade. There are hundreds of this exact genre out there on Steam right now, some of them rightfully so in early access so they can get funding to complete their game, and then others masquerading as an early access game for over a decade so that way they could get people to keep buying it and have something to blame when their game is a buggy mess. But no matter how you spin it, early access or not, open-world survival games are everywhere right now. Kind of the hot ticket item ever since Valheim really picked up, and there are so many of these that release that most people don't even bat an eye when they see a new one hit the Steam store. So when Dawn of Defiance crossed my path, it was no surprise that it had less than 1,000 reviews and went entirely unnoticed in the survival crafting genre, compared to Valheim's near 400,000 reviews, or even Nightingale, which has nearly 12,000 reviews. Dawn of Defiance hit the market in August 15th, 2024, and it didn't even make a dent in the waters of gaming. So I figured it was my job as a game reviewer to pick it up and try it out. So today I'm going to give you the complete rundown of the game, if you should buy it, if it's good, and what I think about the future of this game. So let's get right into it. The main thing you notice about this game is that it has a very Spartan aspect to it. It's very Greek inspired. So obviously when making my world, I wanted to give it a name that inspired the same sort of epicness that most Greek names have. There's Olympus, Greece, Rome. These are all really strong, powerful names. So obviously I went with the name that I thought was equally as powerful, Pee Pee Poo Poo Boner. So I load up Pee Pee Poo Poo Boner Land, and immediately I notice in the options when making a world that there is a difficulty slider. So once again, I just do the obvious thing that most people would do and slide it up to 1,000% on everything. But honestly, I'm a gamer. How hard could it even be?
I'm so locked in, dude. I'm so locked in. This is the run. This is the one. Holy shit, the rolling is actually so OP. As long as I just keep rolling, I'm literally unkillable. Damn it! Okay, I have a plan. What if we put our beds closer to them so that way we could keep respawning? We don't have to walk back every time. Oh god, they're spawn killing me! There's no immunity when you spawn! Damn it!
This is a terrible idea. What have we done?
Okay, so I'm playing this game for about 2-3 hours, and I have a confession.
Okay.
So when I made the server, there's difficulty sliders,
Uh-huh.
and it's a percentage that you can increase the enemy's attack and HP.
Yeah, huh.
Do you want to take a guess at the percentage of attack and HP that the enemies are at right now?
Yeah, at least like 75, right? Like
At least at least 75%. You're not wrong. It's close. You're close.
Yeah, is it 100%? Did you crank it all the way?
Very close. It is 1,000%.
Right, yeah, that would make sense. So we're not supposed to be getting one shot every time we do
No,
anything.
no.
We're supposed to have health bars.
Yeah.
The health bar's supposed to mean something, guys.
Yeah.
And we're supposed to deal damage.
Yeah, it's crazy, huh?
We're supposed to deal damage.
So that was the disastrous launch of Dawn of Defiance for me and my friend. And we had a ton of fun doing it. I really enjoyed making this video. And honestly, I really did enjoy that. All the dying and stuff was very fun. But I did lower it down to a reasonable 200%, whereas 100% is normal. So I played the whole game through with double enemy damage and double enemy health. But let's get into Dawn of Defiance. So the first thing are visuals. It's a Spartan theme with like a Greek and Rome aspect, and honestly, I really like it. This game is really clean. One of the things I like the most about it is that It is honestly just a crisp and clean experience. There are so many other survival crafting games where everything is cumbersome, everything from UI to how you craft stuff, even the hotkeys can be a mess, and for some reason developers have a really hard time really nailing this down in the genre. This genre particularly is riddled with bugs and with UI cumbersome things. So it was really nice to launch up this game and just see that visually it was very crisp. The menu is pretty clear. You go into it, it has a inventory menu, a crafting menu, and honestly, this arrow reload UI goes insanely hard. I don't know why they made this arrow reload UI so good, but it's like unreasonably good for like the rest of the game. It's like, oh, like you don't even use this hardly ever. I don't think I ever actually use this because I just stick the arrows that I need in my inventory. So the fact that they made this thing like so good is kind of crazy. And the combat is clean as well. It's very easy to tell what the enemy is doing. I'll talk more about that in the gameplay section, but visually the combat is good. Overall, the visuals in this game, I just really liked. I thought it was very crisp, very clean.
Very demure, very mindful.
I like the Spartan aesthetic. I think it's a new aesthetic that I don't think we've really seen in this crafting survival genre. We have seen a lot out there, so it is cool to see a new take on the genre. And I felt like they really encompassed the Spartan feel in the visuals, so I really like that. However, blackberry trees are blue in this game, and it took me almost 10 hours of playing before I realized that they were actually blackberry trees and not blueberry trees, so this is actually unforgivable, so 0 out of 10. Next up is gameplay. The thing I really like about the gameplay in this game is it doesn't take itself too seriously. Unfortunately, you do have to spoil something that I think is probably the coolest part of this game, but I can't really explain it without spoiling it, and I have to show it because it is probably the biggest selling point of this game. But on the tutorial island, you will unlock 3 powers, and it is immunity to fall damage, dashing in the air, and flying. So you'll actually just be flying around. You'll be a flying Spartan going from place to place and you can do like this air attack where you slam the ground. And honestly, I think that's so cool. It's such a weird, unique take on it. I don't know why they added this. Part of me thinks that they just wanted to make traversal better. And so they added this in and then they were like, hey, this is really cool. I don't know. I don't know why they did it, but it's really cool. I think it's very neat. There's no explanation for it. Obviously, the game doesn't take it too seriously, but you can fly in the air and you can even shoot bows in the air. However, the flying is only really cool to get from point A to point B. It very quickly becomes more boring than anything, which is really a shame with how cool it is. It reminds me a lot of the rolling or dashing in Warframe, where it's super cool at first. So when you start the game, you're going to be like, whoa, like what a cool thing to add to a game. But you quickly realize that it's just used as a way to get from point A to point B. And the fact that it looks cool is really supplemental to the fact that it's just used to get across the map, which I think underutilizes the aspect of the flying in this game. I don't know how they would fix it. I just think it's a really cool system. But the gameplay in this game, there is a lot of walking, like a lot of walking. And everything you do is kind of gated behind stamina costs. And you can make potions for your stamina or potions for your health or potions for really anything. You can get more armor with them or poison your weapons with potions. And they last for like 10 minutes. And I think this is a really cool way to have a game like this, just to have these long enough buffs that you kind of have them up all the time, but you also don't get them for free. However, not having a stamina potion in this and not having food to up your stamina makes the game insanely frustrating because even with a stamina potion, getting from point A to point B takes so long. I eventually just turned off the option in the server creation where you drop items when you die because walking back to your body, it was just such a chore. I don't mind being punished for dying in a game and playing games on a hard difficulty. I like playing games on a hardcore difficulty, but this just walking back to your body just felt like such a chore and it just took so long. And I feel like honestly more than half of my gameplay was spent just walking around. There are portals in the world, but there's not enough in the game. I don't think it really explains that there are portals on the main island. You kind of just have to come across it. So the portals are nice, but they don't really solve the problem. There's a lot of dead time walking between spots, and that dead time is exacerbated by the fact that there's nothing really in the world. The world is very bland. The game is kind of like missing half of it. Like you order a steak dinner and they just bring you a steak and you're like, okay, I really like the steak. The steak is yummy, but like where's the mashed potatoes and the potato and the fries? I just want potatoes. Just bring me more potatoes. This game has no potatoes. It's weirdly barren in like a not good sort of way. Like the game feels like it has the idea of being finished, but not actually, which kind of worries me. There's only like 3 enemy types, although the combat is good. I really like the combat in this game. If you block at the correct time, you parry and then they get stunned. And when you shoot a bow and arrow, if you hit them in the head, your reticle changes and it makes a really nice, satisfying, crisp noise. So honestly, I really like the gameplay with the flying, and there's like a fly dashing. It's really clean, but there's only like 4 enemy types. And as of right now, the golem, when it throws a rock, it has really bad targeting. So the rock will change directions in midair and still hit you. So that's annoying. But overall, there's the gameplay in this game. I really like it. It's just not fully there. It's not fully fleshed out. And I hope the developers knows to flesh out the middle of the game. When it comes to updating a game, normally developers like to add stuff to the end of their game and flesh out the end and like make new stuff. And in this game, there is a huge section of the map that is blocked off. So I imagine they're going to unlock that part of the map, and it's probably going to be a harder area with more stuff. But I'm worried that the developers aren't going to know to fix the pacing with the base game, because the base game pacing is just so weird. It's so, let me explain. Let me run it back so we can explain from the beginning. So in order to make progress, you get to these shrines, right? And these shrines tell you what to do in the area. The shrines will say something like, go find pomegranates, and you go find pomegranates, and then you come back to the shrine, you kill all the enemies, and then you go into the shrine and you get your rewards. And there's like 1 shrine for every biome, maybe a little bit more, like 2 shrines for every biome. And you go around and you do all that, and that's how you progress the game. But I like this. I like the idea of going to an area, telling you what to do. It's very clean. It's very crisp.
Very demure, very mindful.
But it's not fully fleshed out. Like in between doing the shrines is very bland and a lot of walking. I don't know how to express it, but other games get this right. Like when you're playing Valheim and you go to a new biome, it's so interesting and you're so excited for this new biome and new enemies and new loot and new stuff. But in Dawn of Defiance, you're kind of just flying around everywhere and just kind of trying to do a checklist of things. And there's not really a feeling of exploration in the world. There's almost this disjointedness of you not feeling like you're conquering the world because the world is just so like uninteresting. It's so predictable. The tutorial island is great. I really, really like the tutorial island. It's clear that they put a lot of effort into the tutorial island. You unlock these 3 towers over time, and there's caves with enemies in them, and the caves add a little bit of something to the game. Honestly, the tutorial island I really like. It's like the first 4 or 5 hours of the game. I actually don't know. It took me and my friend about 5 hours, but we were on 1,000 times difficulty. So I don't know exactly how long the tutorial island would take, but I really did like it. I felt like it was a very succinct experience. And then you get to mid-game, and mid-game, it just kind of gives you everything at once, and it's like, okay, go do the world. And there's no real pacing. I think that's the problem. That's what I'm trying to get here. Is there's no pacing for the end game. You can immediately go to the hardest biome, and it's not that difficult. There are some things where it's like, oh, you don't have a good enough axe to chop something, or a good enough pickaxe, but they kind of don't make it clear once you get to mid-game. There's no like obvious progression. For instance, there's a hammer from the shopkeeper that you need to buy that unlocks most of the stuff, but it's at the bottom of his buy list, and there's no hint on the menu to buy that first. So I wound up buying a crafting station that I couldn't even craft because I needed the hammer first, and the game didn't tell me that. It's a lot like those memes where it's like those old books that tell you how to draw, and it says, draw 2 circles. I'll draw the rest of the fucking owl. That's how I feel like this game is. The tutorial was a good 2 circles, and then when I hit the main game, they're like, okay, just do the rest. And although it is crisp and it is clean, and I did like it and enjoy it because I was having fun with a friend, it is also hollow. It has a very shiny, nice coat of paint, and it's a good coat of paint. Don't get me wrong. But when you dig a little deeper, it's missing that je ne sais quoi. It's missing that real meaty center that a lot of these crafting games get. It's the reason that I've put 300 hours into Ark. It's that something that keeps you going, that desire to get to the next thing that this game just does not have. I played about 16 hours of this game, and I'm pretty much completed everything, and that is on playing on a harder difficulty. So if you're playing without difficulty modifiers and you're just trying to get through it, you'll probably honestly beat the game in 10 hours, which for a survival crafting game is a terrible value. So I realized just now that I kind of put everything into my one category. Normally I like to break it up into talking about gameplay and then talking about progression, but I just kind of now talked about progression, so they kind of all mash together. I just kind of stream of consciousness put everything together. So I'm just going to go through some bullet points that I have. Hunting in this game is really cool. If you kill an animal like just with a spear, it turns out 1 star. If you kill it with a bow and arrow, it turns out 2 star. And if you kill it with headshots, it turns into a 3 star, which in theory, I do really like this system. It is really cool. However, for the bucks, they took 2 shots, sometimes 3 shots, depending on how much damage we had. But I was playing on a harder difficulty, so I can't fault the devs for that. So I think honestly, this system's really cool. I really like the idea that you get rewarded based on how much you are hunting. Your skills level up as you play, so you get more efficiency, stamina costs, and better with your weapons. You're not actually going to notice what the level ups do, but I just think it's a cool thing to have. It's just a cool little something, and it levels up, you know, like old Elder Scrolls. You even level up just from like jumping, so you just get like athleticism through running and stuff. So I think that's really cool. Just to have stuff that you're progressing in. Shrines on the map don't show if they're lit, so it's hard to know if you've lit a shrine or not lit a shrine or what you've done on the map, and there's no way to put a marker on the map, so the map needs some work. There's no building your base from your chests. You can craft on a crafting table from your chests, but you can't build your base from your chests, so there's no like chest adjacent inventory, which I think has to be fixed in this day and age. I think every game just needs a craft from chests option. And obviously, the blackberry trees are blue, and this is unforgivable. 0 out of 10. No, overall, I really do like this game, but unfortunately, I cannot recommend it. Although I really liked certain aspects of this game and how clean it felt. I can't help shake the feeling that this feels like it's going to be abandonware in 2 years. Maybe I'm just jaded and I've been around the gaming community for too long, but this game just raises a lot of red flags to me that says that this will be abandoned because it is kind of a complete game. It's like they obviously made enough of the end game to say like, oh, it's complete, quote unquote. I just don't know if they're going to go back and fill back the other pieces that need to be fixed. I would have been honestly more optimistic about the game if they had really good pacing for the tutorial island and then maybe for like the first biome of the regular island and then cut it off after that. But the fact that they have the other stuff in the other biomes and they have a way to progress the game and get to late game stuff and you can get it all pretty quickly. I don't know. It's a lot of red flags for me, but if you like supporting games like this, like go for it. But this is kind of the quintessential example of early access. If you like getting a game for early access because you want to support the game and support the developers and what they're doing, then get this game. This is kind of like a Kickstarter early access. This is very much a alpha. I don't regret the $20 I spend, but I won't tell you guys to spend because I personally don't know these developers. I went on record defending the Once Human developers because I thought that they, although had made a relatively shitty game, that they did care and were constantly trying to make it better. Whereas this game is kind of the opposite, where I feel like it's a relatively good game, but I don't trust that the developers are going to finish it. I hope I'm proved wrong, but I think that this game, if I had to guess, I'm going to guess that they will come out with 1 or 2 more patches and they'll come out with another biome, and then they're just going to call it a day and say that their game is finished. I don't know, maybe this is me being jaded. Overall, I'd give this game a 6 out of 10. It's a good game. 5 is like my middle of the road, my very meh rating, whereas 4 would be going into bad territory and 6 is going into good territory. This is the beginning of good, where the game itself is good, but unfortunately it's just not finished, so you can't really say much more about it. Only time will tell on this one. At the end of the day, I really like this game, but I cannot recommend it for one obvious fact. The blackberry trees are blue and this is unforgivable. Hey guys, a little outro for all you guys who have stuck around to the end. My little Spartans, I'm gonna give you a little kiss. I'm working on more videos. I had about a 2-week period where I stopped making stuff. It just life happens, you know. But I am working on projects. So if you're here and you like it, this is a brand new YouTube channel. Please like and subscribe because I'm trying to get this thing off the ground and this is what I love to do. I do have a lot more video ideas. I have other stuff even half recorded. It's just all a mess. I'm trying to get it finished and trying to get stuff out. I have something coming up. I'm doing a large-scale review of Vampire Survivor-like games, so if you're interested in that, stick around. Keep your eyes open for it. And I might be venturing a little bit into politics, not like political gaming. There's a lot of drama going on in the political gaming sphere with stuff like Dustborn and the new Hobbit game. If you know, you know. So I'm going to be talking about stuff like that. And just general gaming news, get a little bit more into that a bit. But that's the plan for the channel. I appreciate you staying here, and I will see you in the next one.
It's supposed to deal damage.
Yeah. Are you trying to kiss me? Are you trying to give me a Spartan kiss? Mwah.
Mwah.